Alright, if we could get everyone's attention, please. Alright, so the next activity that we have planned is a chalk talk. And this is where we're going to start introducing the data that we found to all of you. We have separated the data into the 4 R's. So there is one sheet of paper for each R, and there is what we have identified as 1 strength of the data and 2 concerns of the data. And we're asking you to respond to that. We've put 2 essential questions on each paper. So we have, what are the root causes of these data points? What contributes to this being the perception/reality? And if you want, you can respond to those. You can just write anything, what the data makes you think, how you feel about it, really anything that you want. So we're going to have about 5 minutes per sheet of paper, and we've separated them so you're in the same groups. So if you could go back to the same table you were at the beginning for the bridge activity, except for group 9. Group 9 is going to disperse because we only have 8 sheets of data. So group 9 can disperse around. And there are 2 rotating groups. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be in a rotating group. They're going to rotate 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 will go back to 1 until you've reached every sheet of paper. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, with 8 going back to 5. So you're looking at the same data, it's just set up into two different circles, so we can move through it as quickly as possible.
And I do just want to mention, in terms of focusing questions, to really pay attention, some of the concerns that we identified were because of discrepancies between the data. So really focus on that and perhaps make some assumptions or hypotheses about why that might be the case, why it might be a large gap. So just focus on that in particular, but have fun with the data and survey.
They're responsible for their own education. You gotta hook them, and you gotta have things that are their relationship.
That's what
And you gotta have them vested in it.
And the thing is,
the relationships.
Yeah, the problem with this is, and it's easy for me to say because I have a caseload of 20 kids, but I'm also in 4 math classes, and we don't have time to do this justice. And this is where so much can happen if this is built, and it takes time and work. And
that relationship,
it's
I
huge.
also feel like this question is very specific. It doesn't necessarily touch on
relationship.
What a relationship can be. Do you have to talk about your worries in order to have a relationship with a teacher?
No.
So we're going to give assessment. It's like, what is it I'm looking at? What's going to be the A paper? And having to going through that with them, and then all of a sudden the light bulb comes on. But because I said it, they've all got it. But they don't.
My students, classroom teachers will often just ask sort of a general question, like, do you understand this? Which, of course, my students will all just kind of go, But if you ask a specific question, what is this? What does this mean? You'll probably find out that I don't know. So it's getting more specific, information, checking in a very specific way.
We've gotten so into education to get a job. What's about education to get an education? Be educated. And I've met out in the business world for 40 years. I've met guys that have gone to school to learn business. They don't know squat about anything else. They're not really educated. They're really good at making money, but you ask them about art, you ask them about literature, they don't know anything. You know?
We're asking them, every single student, to get things that they probably will never need to use in their life. I think that if we ask a question, if we say, okay, let's take this concept, this skill, and say, does everyone in this room, all teachers, know how to do this? If not, then it's not required for lifelong living. I think that if we really want to get to the basics, we really pull back and go to the basics, and then allow students the opportunity to go above and beyond that. You know, still get credits in art and humanities and all this sort of stuff, but in a way that they want to.
I'm not going to have a philosophical conversation here about mathematics, but the first 2 years are on the state level. So first 2 years is algebra and geometry. Kids don't have to take calculus. As a junior,
So I just want to invite you or let you know some of the other opportunities that are going on to kind of further discussions and questions you may or may not have. This YATST group has been meeting every Wednesday morning for the last 2 years. They meet at 7:30. We meet in the cafe. And the first sort of announcement that I have is that it's open to anybody who wants to become a part and to kind of see the work that's going on within this group. And that's at 7:30 on Wednesday mornings. The second thing I want to let people be aware of is that there will be a newsletter that we will be publishing. I think we're looking at maybe monthly at this point. That will have a lot of the information, maybe some more data, maybe some more meetings that people could attend. And that way you could also further your questions and your exploration of what's going on. The third thing is we'll be opening up more of some community dialogues we're going to have. Opening up to parents, to students. We'll be taking some of the energy and the activities to the school board to kind of get them involved as well. They're just as important to our community as the teachers are and other people that put time and energy into making this place a really quality place. So there's a lot of opportunities to further this work. On a side note, I mean, Harwood really is kind of taking a risk. And really, we talk about next steps, and I think Harwood should be proud. We should be proud as a community because we're embracing this idea that everybody deserves a voice when it comes to what happens within the school. And before we end and go to this other activity, I just want to say thank you to the students for really putting in the time. It really has been numerous hours of preparation and thinking about how to engage the community in a dialogue. And I think this is a great first step. And the next steps are about working together. So it's really youth and adults transforming schools together. So just a real quick applause for the students.